The Grand Chess Tour will return in 2021, but chess fans will be missing two of the biggest names as both Magnus Carlsen and Hikaru Nakamura declined invitations. The organizers have announced the 10 participants in the tour schedule, which includes 2 classical events and 3 rapid blitz events during 3 months in the summer. There's a picture of Magnus and I. This was a game we played. I think this was in Africa. I think this was in Abidjan, in the Côte d'Ivoire in Africa last year, if I'm not mistaken, based on the suit Magnus is wearing and the look. I'm pretty sure this was last year. 2020, the tour had to be canceled due to the COVID-19 pandemic, but with vaccines being rolled out all over the world, there is some hope that life can go back to normal and over-the-board events can resume. Executive Director Michael Kordakovsky commented, "We are excited to return to over-the-board events this year. All 5 locations will comply with local COVID-19 guidelines, and fans can expect the same excitement and action that they've come to love and enjoy from the Grand Chess Tour. Once again, there will be 2 classical events and 3 blitz events, with the Sinquefield Cup in St. Louis as the final event. The 2021 field features all the world's top 11 on the FIDE rating list except for Magnus. That includes Ding Liren and Wesley So, tour champions in 2019 and 2016 respectively. Also in the action are candidate players like Maxime Vachier-Lagrave and Fabiano Caruana, Jan Nepomniachtchi, Alexander Grishuk, Ding Liren, and Anish Giri, who at the halfway point are still in contention to become Magnus Carlsen's World Championship challenger. A new face in the tour is Timur Radjabov, the winner of the Air Things Master, who takes part for the first time. I'll talk more about this in depth. The absence of 2 of the chess world's biggest names, world number 1 blitz player Hikaru Nakamura and triple world champion Magnus Carlsen, is a huge blow for the tour. The 4th ranked American won the 2018 tour and has become a star in the streaming world, but Nakamura has stated his intention to become less active in over-the-board events." Okay, interesting the way that they say this is not actually what I said, but to be fair, they didn't quote me, so I will cut them some slack, but this actually is not the reason I'm not playing. First thing I'm going to say is it looks like a very good field. So the field is pretty standard, good number of players. I'm not playing. Magnus is not playing. All right, so let's go back to the first thing. So as I scroll up, you see all the events listed here. So the invitations for the Chess Champions Tour were sent out on November, I believe, 25th. So if we go back in time, the invitations were sent out on November 25th, and players were required to essentially tell the Grand Chess Tour by December 1st if they were intending to play in the event. So because we were told essentially by December 1st as to whether we would play or not play, there was a lot that was up in the air. We didn't know what was going on with COVID, with the vaccine, all these different things. This is the first thing I'm going to say. So they gave us very limited time, and they said they were going to publish a list of players on December 10th. Now, as we know, the Grand Chess Tour, in fact, did not publish a list of players. They published the field for the events on January 10th, not December 10th, as they initially stated. So yes, they gave everybody 5 days essentially, or 1 week, to figure it out. Now, the fact that the field was not released on December 10th and they released it on January 10th says that there were a lot of issues, and in fact, they probably ended up having to change their initial regulations or lists. That is the first thing I will say. The second thing that I will say about this is that originally when I was told about the event, they were saying that all the events were going to be held in a row. Now, when you look at the list of events, you have the Superbet Chess Classic, which is classical chess, which is June 3rd to 15th in Bucharest, Romania, and then you have the Paris Rapid and Blitz, June 16th to 23rd in Paris, France. Now, the idea of having to play a tournament, let alone classical and rapid, but the idea of having to play one tournament in a row is a lot. But when the initial list was given out of the events, they said it was going to be every event played in a row. So if you think about playing 5 events in a row during the whole summer, that would, first of all, that would be insane. Just from a pure chess standpoint, completely insane. Now, even looking at this with a classic event and then having to play rapid for a week right after a very grueling 10-hour classical chess tournament is already, frankly, too much. But then you have like then you know, they kind of, it looks like, tried to space it out a little bit so it's more accommodating in a way. Nonetheless, I was told that the tournaments would all be in a row, all 5 in a row. So those are the things that I'm going to say. Now, going forward, the third point, which I think is also important, is that I am, like Magnus, committed to playing the Chess Champions Tour. And there's going to be a Chess Champions Tour there's going to be one event every single month through October. So if you think about it that way, that's probably a week and a half to 2 weeks every single month when there's going to be a competitive event of online chess to play in. So I've already committed to that. So trying to it's already quite a challenge juggling that with the with my streaming career, with my sponsor agreements, with like G Fuel, with TSM and so forth. So I have a lot of sponsor agreements. I try to plan things out very far in advance, and it just is not practical or realistic. And then you combine the fourth point as well, which is that there's no guarantee these events are going to even happen in the first place. So for me to sort of gamble and potentially risk sponsorship deals, put my stream at risk in order to agree to compete in these chess tournaments, which frankly I don't think are going to happen to begin with, it's just a bad proposition to me. So that's the main reason I declined it, is that I'm already committed to the Champions Tour and I have sponsor agreements as well. And this notion about not playing over the board, I mean, I might have said that I'm going to be less active, but this has nothing to do with wanting to play less tournaments. It's just it's impossible. So that is actually the reasoning behind me declining it, is that frankly I'm committed to this Chess Champions Tour. I'm committed to streaming, and I'm committed to doing what I can for chess as a whole. So that's what I'm going to say in general. And like I said, the last thing is I think it's very bold of them to assume that these events will be held. I don't think it's realistic to expect the world to be back to normal by June. For example, with Tata Steel, for Tata Steel, for example, this tournament that's happening this year, no one from the US, the only players who could play were in Europe. So like for myself and for Wesley, so the Tata Steel organizers could not even invite us to compete in the event. So to me, I'm very skeptical that this will happen. I think it's very bold to start with. I think it's frankly a little bit silly as well, because I don't think that this notion that the world's going to be back to normal where everyone can travel by June, I just think is completely insane. Fabiano's from the US, yes, but Fabiano has been staying in Europe. His parents live in Europe. He's been staying in Europe. He also has dual citizenship. He has an Italian passport as well as an American passport, so that's why Fabiano is slightly different. But yeah, in general, to me, it's just the notion of the world being back to normal by June and people being able to travel, I think is very I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's just skeptical. Why couldn't they invite you? Because I believe whether it's the EU or whether it's Netherlands, people from the United States are not allowed to go there, I don't believe, at the moment. So yeah, travel back to normal by June is not insane. We'll see we'll see what happens, but to me those are the main reasons. Now, it's not to say that I won't be able to play as a wild card in events. I expect to get invited as a wild card to some of the events. I also assume Magnus will as well, so I do think you will see us playing in certain events, but in general, that's the reason. It has nothing to do with wanting to focus on streaming or not caring about over the board chess anymore. It's about the fact that I have sponsor agreements, I have the stream, I have the Chess Champions Tour, and it's simply too much. And when you combine that with the fact that they invited us back in November, 1 week notice, and some of the regulations were different, it all combined to be too much. So that's the reason. No, I'm not blackballed. I declined. I was invited. As you see, like when you look at the URS ranking here, Magnus and I are number 1 and 2, and you'll see like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12, 18. There's a reason 1 and 2 are missing from this, and that's Magnus and myself. And as I said, I just explained the reasons. So just thought I would go over that very briefly, because again, I think I missed it before, but people might have missed it when I spoke about it in the past. Yeah, too much look at the last 8. So this is the thing, like I don't really want to go here, but let me go here. Let me see if they actually list anything. Okay, let's take a look. Okay, I'm just gonna look at the Chess 24 calendar here. February 2021, this is gonna be leg 3 of the Chess Champions Chess Tour, February 6th to 14th. Okay, now they're intending in March to have the leg 4, which will be March 13th to 21st, all pretty normal. Leg 5 is gonna be where's leg 5? It's somewhere in here. Leg 5, they're intending to have the Chess Champions Tour April 24th to May 2nd. Okay, and this is where it starts getting messy, is then you have leg 6, May 23rd to 31. Now if I go back to the last one, let me see, when was it exactly? They're saying June 3rd to 15th, right? So again, they're trying to work around it, but as you see, May 23rd to 31st, there's going to be event number 6, and then they're going to have June 26th to July 4th, leg 7. Now if we go back here, They say June 26th. This is too much. You're trying to play a classical tournament, a rapid and blitz tournament, then 3 days later have to fly back, assuming everything's okay, and play another online event. I think it's insane. So you see, like, leg 7 is in June 26th, July 4th. Leg 8 is July 31st to August 8th. Again, now you hit the other way. You see how St. Louis Rapid and Blitz is August 9th to 16th. So basically they hold this one right before the St. Louis event. So then you focus on the online event, but then what happens is you end up sacrificing potentially these over the board events because you can't do preparation and you're really tired. So when you see this, it's not practical. And then August 28th, September 5th, they're intending to hold leg number 9. And then leg number 10 is leg 10 the final? They don't list it yet, but leg 10 should be the grand final. Oh no, they do. September 25th to October 3rd. Now this also I think is very much up in the air. The Champions Chess Tour final, I think the intention is to hold this in person. But once again, you see it's simply too much to play all these tournaments. I have to focus on streaming as well. There are sponsor agreements, and so it's really just not realistic to expect me to play these tournaments. Now by September, if people cannot travel, I would be surprised. But by June, I'm very skeptical. So that's the reason that I declined. Just thought I would go over it once again. You guys look at the comments. Why do I want to look at the comments? Yes, I mean I'm not gonna look at the comments. So no, I saw the first line of that last one. I'm not gonna look at comments. I'm sure it's probably a lot of very negative comments about me. And I don't really need to do that. We're not in like I'm not in the mood to see people being really rude and really negative. Again, I think in general terms, my career speaks for itself. I've won the US championship 5 times. I've been #1 ranked on the URS ranking, #1 blitz player in the world. I was #1 in rapid. Like, anybody who wants to say things about me, I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's a sad world we live in when people can hide behind screens and say very negative things about people, instead when you know that if they were ever talking to me face to face, they would never in a million years say those same things. So let's just be very clear on that. All right, thank you to Murph for the 2 months. Thank you to Tipster for the Prime, Rochelle for the 2, and Huengo with the Prime. And it's not even about flexing. The reality is quite simply that those are facts. It's just facts. It's not flexing. I'm not flexing. It's just facts. That's the great thing about chess. You have an ELO ranking, and the rankings are what they are, and it's based on your play. It's not based on some extraneous factors, other sorts of things. It's just purely based on your play. So yeah, I say nice things to you all the time, but you never notice me. Good one. Zolik, good one. Yeah. But yeah, that's what I would say. So yeah, can I summarize it? Sure, I'll do one last summary. The reasoning is I'm committed to the Chess Champions Tour, which is 10 events once a month. I have sponsorship agreements that I have to fulfill as well. When the original contract was sent out, it was sent out in late November. They only gave us 1 week to decide, so this is not like now in January with a clearer situation of what's going on. So that's the third reason. And then the fourth reason, frankly, is that I just don't think it's going to happen. I don't think travel is going to be back to normal, and it just, to me, it's illogical. So yeah, that's what I would say in general terms about why I'm not playing. It has nothing to do with not wanting to play chess anymore. I mean, I love chess, and obviously I stream chess, so the notion that somehow I don't want to play chess is laughable. All right. So yeah, so that I just thought I would go through that very briefly. And I have a busy schedule. Like, I'm very busy streaming. I'm very busy competing in these Magnus tournaments. Like, so again, I have a very busy schedule. Now, what I would say is, if for example there was not this Chess Champions Tour, I think it would definitely be very strange for me not to play, because then it would be like I'm literally actually turning my back on over the board chess. But I've already committed to the Chess Champions Tour. I do believe the future of top level chess is online. I do not think it is over the board. And so I am very committed to that, regardless of which site it's on. I do very firmly believe that the future of chess is online, that it is esports oriented, and it's not going to be back to classical chess. It's not going to be back to over the board chess the way that a lot of the old traditionalists believe that it should be. I think what has happened in the last year has been very, very beneficial for chess. I think certain organizations have perhaps not been aware, or they're not looking very closely at what's going on, so they don't understand how big of an impact it's had. And so for me, I'm very committed, and I very much believe that online is the future. So yeah, that's what I'm going to say as well, is that if you give me the choice between online tournaments or over the board tournaments, I am going to play I will play online, because I do believe in it much more than over the board. That being said, to be very clear, over the board chess is not going to die. I think outside of the very, very top level of grandmasters, over the board chess is very exciting. If you're, say, 1600, if you're a 2000, even 2400 player, chess is very exciting over the board. So there will always be a place for it, but in terms of absolute top level chess, I think that online is the future, and I'm gonna make my decisions accordingly, because that's what I believe in. So yeah, if you were number one on classical even for a week, they would have honeymouthed you like they do with Magnus. You don't really need it. I mean, I was number 2 in the world in classical chess, even though it was like 6 or 7 years ago. I mean, I was number 2 for a period. So again, like, I mean, you know, it's there's one other thing that I'm going to say, because I've been watching this F1 series that I've spoken about it a little bit at length recently. I've been watching F1 on Netflix, and it's kind of like, you know, if you look at F1, for example, you have people like Sebastian Vettel, who I think he won the world championship 4 years in a row, and then there was the rise of Mercedes, and of course Lewis Hamilton came along, and they've dominated for like the last 7 years. So like, you could say like Sebastian Vettel, for example, if there wasn't Lewis Hamilton, he probably would have a lot more world championships. He'd be far more successful in a sense.
Donated $4.20. Hey, I love how positive you are about just about everything. I just found chess again, and you helped me a lot through all this.
Okay, thank you. But my point was that basically, if Lewis Hamilton weren't around, or let's say Mercedes team wasn't around, then Sebastian Vettel almost certainly would have won a world championship at Ferrari. But there was this one team and this one guy that are so phenomenal. And that's why he doesn't have a more distinguished, you know, well, I mean, it's very distinguished no matter what, but he doesn't have like more world championships. And so I would say it's the same thing for chess. If you look at chess, if it weren't for Magnus, I think at some point I probably would have been number 1. I'm not saying I would be world champion, but I think I probably would have been number 1 on the rankings at some point. You could also probably say the same thing about Fabiano Caruana. You could probably also say the same thing about Levon Aronian. I think all of us could have been number 1 at some point, if not for this very annoying guy from Norway. But he exists, and he's simply, you know, I mean, he's just out of this world. So, you know, I have nothing but respect for Magnus in general terms, and so like when people say these things, like, it's just like, you know, all of us could definitely have been number 1, but that's just how it goes. And I think that's how it goes with any sport, any game. There's always somebody who, like, if you were to remove them, someone's career could have been so much greater. I was thinking, like, even if you go back to basketball, if it wasn't for, say, MJ coming back in the late 90s, I mean, John Stockton, I mean, a great point guard, one of the greatest ever, he 100% would have won a title. So would Karl Malone. But because there were the Bulls, there was Michael Jordan, they never won an NBA championship. But you know, if the Bulls weren't there, they 100% would have won at least one, if not more. So it's all relative, and that's just how it goes in general. It's like, yeah, and it's like, imagine tennis without Nadal or Djokovic. Federer would have what, like 70 slams or something. I mean, it's insane. But yeah, so I mean, again, when people make these comments about me, like, it's like,
Get Good Dad donated
I've had a good career.